All right. Canelo Alvarez has another fight that they were in negotiations to make fall through. And as a result, man, I'm saying this right now, that the only sensible fight for Canelo Alvarez is Jermall Charlo. It is time to make the fight, time to stop dancing around and all that nonsense and fight the guy that has been in the same weight class as you for years, that has been you have known, who's undefeated and is a champion in the same division that Canelo's has been a champion in. People have made all the money they need to make. It's time to stop dancing around, stop playing around, and make the fight that everybody knows, or should know, in my opinion, should know is the only real sensible fight for Canelo Alvarez. Let's talk about that in this video. All right. Canelo Alvarez's fight versus Murata, the WBA regular champion, Murata out of Japan, has apparently fallen through. So he will not be fighting this guy off in Japan. To me, that is absolutely positively good news, because Canelo Alvarez has been engaging in, for the last several fights, a lot of, what's the word of that really kind of scumbaggy dude on Twitter, who shall remain nameless at this moment, showcase fights. Okay, showcase fights. Sergey Kovalev, showcase fight. Rocky Fieldhand, showcase fight. All right. Even Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs is a guy, now that's not quite a showcase fight, and by that I mean a guy that really doesn't have much of a chance to win. But Daniel Jacobs is not, he'd already been knocked out one time by Demetrius Pirog. If I say it's Pirgo, Pirog, Demetrius Pirog, back in the day, man. I don't think Pirog ever fought again, man. That dude was a really good fighter, man. I hate that his back blew out or whatever happened to him. But got knocked out by him, lost to Gennady Golovkin. So there was a bead already out on Daniel Jacobs. Okay. Now, Canelo Alvarez is somebody that has, to his credit, has a lot of very, very good names on his resume, without a doubt. And that is what had led me really to be a Canelo Alvarez fan to begin with. But this whole thing that he went on with the going up to 175 pounds, fighting at 168, coming back down. What did he go to? He fought at 160, then he moved to 168 and fought, somebody who cares. He fought Sergey Kovalev in a fight that Sergey Kovalev even himself insinuated, like, I knew I was going in there and I couldn't win the fight. Just seemed real. One of the more shady looking fights I've seen in a while out of between Canelo Alvarez and Sergey Kovalev. Look, man, it is time for Canelo Alvarez to fight Jermall Charlo. Just point blank period, man. It's the only sensible, in my opinion, it's the only sensible fight. And now let me differentiate the only sensible fight from the only fight that can be made. Okay, those are two different things in my mind. A fight that can be made is, he could make a fight between Canelo Alvarez, and you can make a fight between Canelo Alvarez and Sergey Deverenchenko. You can make that fight. Okay, you can make a fight between Canelo Alvarez and Gennady Golovkin. You can make a fight between Canelo Alvarez and Demetrius Andrade. You can make those fights, but those are not fights that I believe that are ones that Canelo Alvarez needs to fight as much as Jermall Charlo. And I say that Jermall Charlo's fight's the most sensible fight because it has everything that you need in a matchup with Canelo Alvarez. You have the fact that it is a bigger money fight than, say, the Demetrius Andrade fight. Not saying that Jermall Charlo is somebody that has a gigantic name or because I know I'm gonna get those responses like, who has he fought? And look at the number of views he did. Look, man, there's enough people that big enough a fan base for Jermall Charlo in boxing for there to be ready name recognition and excitement about that fight. Jermall Charlo is the most popular American middleweight that there is. And I think that is a fair thing to say. Jermall Charlo has put in the work. He's fought consistently. He was a champion, and he was a champion. The storyline of that fight is good because they were both champions at the same time. Well, they were both fighting at 154 pounds, and they're both fighting at 160 pounds. These guys are both the same age. One guy's from Mexico, the other guy's from Texas. So the geography, a fight between the two of those guys in Texas would be absolutely huge, much more so than Demetrius Andrade. Same thing, Gennady Golovkin. Gennady Golovkin's fight could be a very good fight, but what does that fight actually prove? The fight doesn't prove anything because Canelo Alvarez already beaten Gennady Golovkin. I believe he beat him convincingly one time. It was a close fight. It was a close fight the first time, but now Gennady Golovkin is that much older. He was older when the first fight started. Now he's even older. He's 2 years older than he was during the first fight. How in the world is that? How is that going to add anything to see the same fight again for a third fight? But the guy is much older. No, that doesn't make sense from a competitive standpoint. Canelo versus Jermall Charlo, where it does make a sense from a competitive standpoint. There are a lot of people that truly believe that Jermall Charlo can beat Canelo Alvarez. That's not the case with Demetrius Andrade. It's not the case with Gennady Golovkin. Shoot, I don't even know if Gennady Golovkin believes he can beat Canelo Alvarez at this point in time. And that's it. And it's at 160 pounds. Those are the only three champions at 160 pounds. If he goes to fight at 168, Canelo Alvarez goes to fight at 168. What can he really prove at 168 pounds? I mean, he's not gonna fight David Benavidez. First of all, neither David Benavidez nor Caleb Plant have the mass name recognition and have been in the game as long or done as much as Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo is a champion at 154 pounds, champion at 160 pounds, champion in two of the three weight divisions that Canelo Alvarez held belts in. That one legitimate belts in. Okay, I'm not talking about that 168-pound garbage, okay? That 160-pound regular belt, the regular belt that was held by Rocky Fielding was not the championship belt. That is Callum Smith. Okay, that is Callum Smith. The 168-pound champions are Caleb Plant, Callum Smith, Benavidez, and I am missing another 168-pound, whoever the WBO 100 is. Oh, and Billy Joe Saunders. Canelo Alvarez is going to go fight Billy Joe Saunders where in the United States? He's going to go over to the UK to fight Billy Joe Saunders, who looked like just doo-doo warmed over in his last fight. And by the way, he also, I do think, passed up a fight with Billy Joe Saunders. Everything points to fight Jermall Charlo, man. And most importantly, it will shut a lot of people up. Because although Canelo Alvarez fans do not necessarily want to admit this, it is a stain on his legacy not to fight Jermall Charlo. Jermall Charlo keeps winning and that fight doesn't happen. That dude is Canelo Alvarez amongst many boxing fans are going to say, yeah, he was a great fighter, but he ducked that guy. And he did duck that guy. And there is an on-the-books duck against Jermall Charlo. Not a hypothetical duck, a legitimate duck. Canelo Alvarez had a mandatory with the WBC belt, and that guy's name was Jermall Charlo. And he did a virtual abdication of his title to avoid that fight. And they call it the franchise belt. But look, man, that whole thing is just part of the WBC, ruining their own reputation. Okay, that franchise belt stinks. It stinks at lightweight and it stinks at middleweight. Okay, there's no reason to. Canelo Alvarez is not a WBC champion. He's the WBA title holder at middleweight. Jermall Charlo, and it is without a doubt. You can even listen to the way that people refer to Jermall Charlo. Nobody's out there doubting that Jermall Charlo is a champion. Everybody, who's the WBC champion? It's Jermall Charlo. Nobody's saying, oh, the WBC champion is Canelo Alvarez. So even the fact that they tried that franchise champion to keep him a champion failed in the public eye. Because I never hear anybody say Canelo Alvarez is a unified middleweight champion. Because he gave it up and he's not. It makes sense for this fight to happen. This fight is one of the fights. It's like the Terrence Crawford Errol Spence Jr. fight. It's like the Deontay Wilder versus Anthony Joshua fight. It's like all of those fights that you want to see, that everybody knows should happen, and there's one guy in that equation that is not doing what they're supposed to do. With the Terrence Crawford the situation, I want to be very clear. It's him not willing to fight anybody over there, the PBC, to put himself in a position to force that fight ahead of other fighters, because Errol Spence Jr. said he would fight him. Just in case you guys want to try to sneak that in on me. Anyway, it is what it is. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Also, thank you so much. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe, hit the bell icon. Also, thanking everybody that supports on the Patreon and everybody that supports in the live stream. With that, we're out. Peace.